Today, we're going to talk about the Constitution because so many people have no idea what America is. The Constitution is an operating system like Windows or Apple or, you know, any type of program. The Constitution itself is it's the operating system, and it was given to the 13 colonies, and they said, well, hey, we're not going to sign this operating system unless you include the Bill of Rights. And so the Constitution was created with the Bill of Rights as a part of it. And the Bill of Rights are protected by the Supremacy Clause, which means anything in conflict with the Constitution is null and void in law, or notwithstanding in law, in the original words. Later on, a Supreme Court case called Marbury versus Madison concluded that the Constitution cannot be conflicted with. The rights of the people are supreme law. The operating system is the supreme law. Thus, anything outside of the Constitution is not America. It's not our government. Fuck them. The Constitution, the signers, it doesn't matter who they were. What matters is that they wanted people to have freedom. And when they put in the gold and silver clause, they wanted to keep away the credit notes. The gold and silver clause is the biggest clue that William Cooper says is how you know that there is no Constitution. Because we don't have any money. Pursuant to 12 United States Code 411, all we have is obligations. Federal Reserve notes are obligations redeemable for lawful money upon demand at a Federal Reserve Bank. And if you call the bank or if you go there or whatever, they don't have anything besides Federal Reserve notes. And they don't have any lawful money. All they have is obligations. When you get paid, you're getting paid with obligation. If you get taxed, you're getting taxed on an obligation. Taxes are to cover money. Taxes are for money. How can they put a tax on something that isn't money? You see what I'm saying? How can how can they make laws that conflict with the Bill of Rights? I mean, this is not America. If anybody has any brains whatsoever, they would know that it's bullshit. It's a bunch of fucking excuses. A bunch of people running around fucking filling their pockets with bullshit, trying to fucking make it in life, thinking, oh, I'm gonna strive for the best. Oh, I'm gonna get a stock on the stock market. Yeah. Bunch of fucking idiots. They're all, nobody cares about shit. I mean, people don't even care to even understand what the Constitution is, and the people that are in this country that take oaths to the Constitution should be fucking looking in the mirror and slapping themselves in the face, because they clearly don't know what the Constitution is if they take an oath to it and then get paid with Federal Reserve notes, which are obligations. It's not lawful money. By law, not even counting constitutional law, under United States Code, it's not lawful money. It's an obligation. People in our country, they want this and they want that. My person that I voted for didn't get elected. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. If you knew what the 10th Amendment was, you would know that it doesn't matter who's in office, because fucking the federal government isn't supposed to interfere with the citizens of the states. That's what the 10th Amendment is. And as far as the 14th Amendment, the 14th Amendment is in violation of the 10th Amendment. And the 9th Amendment exempts any new amendments from being created or it doesn't allow new amendments to be created that conflict with old amendments, and the understanding of it. And for example, the Second Amendment. There's so many laws that fucking infringe on the Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment specifically says shall not be infringed. And if you look up a Supreme Court case called Lake County versus Rollins, which you'll see that it says that it says they, as in the government, shall not define beyond the instrument. they shall they cannot define something beyond the instrument, meaning that since the Second Amendment doesn't specifically grant any acceptable infringement, then there is none. Then there's the whole TSA thing. I mean, the Supreme Court said we have the right to travel freely and unencumbered from state to state. How can we travel freely and unencumbered when we have to get our assholes searched by a fucking TSA piece of shit because we're fucking trying to travel? The right to travel is a right, and I can't remember which law, but there's a law that says not all rights are in the Bill of Rights. There's so many rights that are people have unlimited rights, and they can't sit around and list all the rights that everybody has because that would be an infinite amount of time, and it'd be impossible. So what they did was they implemented the operating system, which says what the government can do, and it says that it's got 10 basic rights, and but in other words, there's more rights than what is on paper. If you think it's a right, it's a right. And if you can, and if a jury of whatever says it's a right, or if, it's just bullshit. We live in a fucking world where we're supposed to make it, go to college and be this and be that, and a bunch of fucking idiots running around. I'm gonna take a loan out. Oh, I want the government to pay for my loan. Yeah. And fucking all these people bitching and whining like a bunch of fucking losers. They don't get it. I mean, I got friends that I can't even be friends with because they don't fucking know what the fuck I'm talking about. Because they don't care about the Constitution of this country. They just want stuff for free, or they just want it to be their way. It doesn't matter what side I'm talking to. It doesn't matter. There's fucking everybody from every side. Oh, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, left, right, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I don't fucking give a fuck about left or right or Republican or Democrat. All I care about is the Constitution. Like, where the fuck are our rights? Where the fuck is our money? I mean, everybody's full of shit. I mean, this isn't a country. This is not America. We do not have a country. If you think we have a country, then come over and I'll slap you in the face and fucking show you a bunch of shit that fucking William Cooper talks about. And he proves that we don't have a country, and so do other people. I mean, there's a Lieutenant Colonel Archibald Roberts who says, he quotes all the UN stuff and the United Nations Charter, United Nations Participation Act, United Nations Disarmament Act. Through the Participation Act, every troop seeing war is seeing war for the United Nations. William Cooper talks about how the Secretary of the Security Council of the United Nations is a Russian communist general, and he always has been. And I've looked it up as far as I can look it up to like 99 or 2003 or something, and because it's pretty hard to find the information on who the Russian Secretary of the Security Council is, and I don't even know if they use that term a couple times, but it's pretty hard to find Anyways, my point is that people think, they go to the military and think that, oh, I'm fighting for my country, and fucking, they take an oath to defend against enemies foreign and domestic, to defend against the Constitution, and they don't do that. They don't fucking do that. They fucking sit there and they do it just so they can get a paycheck, so they can retire early, so they can fucking, just so they can say it. Oh, you have to thank me for my service. Yeah. And fuck that. That's not, it's not our service. It's fucking, you're working for the UN, motherfucker. Like, you think it's just, I don't know how these people are living in such fantasy. I mean, they're fucking idiots. They're fucking walking around, fucking being slaves, fucking thinking that it's all cool. Oh, I'm gonna go drink this Friday, and I'm gonna have fun with my friends, and fucking, nothing gets done. Everybody's talking, nothing gets done. Everybody thinks that they're doing stuff. Everybody thinks that they're gonna save the fucking world, and fucking, I I cannot convey the information that I have, that I've sat through endless hours trying to prove William Cooper was full of shit, and then I only prove him right, you know? And I've sat and I read these documents, and and I'm sick of talking, trying to be civil with these people, trying to be civil with anyone. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of trying to deal with the fucking sheep, you know? They're living in fantasy land. There's people out there suffering, and we're sitting in a globalist world government where it's all in place. There's no fucking borders, you know? I mean, anything that you think is going on is not happening. It's all done. It's said and over with. The elite have won, and everybody thinks that fucking we're free and we're brave and fucking, you know, but we're not. There's a bunch of cowards, you know. We can't even fucking, we don't have the right to assemble, and that's in the Bill of Rights. You go try and assemble downtown, you know. They're gonna fucking give you a ticket for not having some kind of piece of paper, you know. You can't do shit. You can't fucking walk around on the streets at night and fucking not get harassed because, oh, you're traveling at night and we think you're fucking with people's lawn ornaments, or, you know, like, it's bullshit. I've gotten stopped for skateboarding and fucking, you know, this was years ago, and maybe like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and fucking, that's what they said. They're like, you're fucking with somebody said you were fucking with their light, and it's like, well, I have the right to confront my accuser. Who is my accuser? We don't know. Okay, well, am I arrested? You know, no, you're not arrested. Well, am I being detained? No, you're not being detained. Oh, maybe you are. Oh, I don't know. You know, it's such bullshit. I mean, we live in a place where you have to accept, if you want to live a normal quote unquote life, then you have to accept the socialist monopoly. You have to have a social security card, even though there's no law that says you need a social security card. You know, there's no law that says that. I'm sorry, I didn't exactly write this, okay? But I'm trying to make something that's my own, and, you know, there's all these people talking, and fucking, it's just bullshit, you know. I hear these conspiracy theorists running their fucking mouths, making people who have brains look bad, and fucking, you know, like people like fucking Mark Passio. Fuck that motherfucker, you know? He put up a video of me fucking, watch me wreck this fucking troll, you know? I called into his show, and I asked him, is it possible that your opinions are compromised by your past satanic membership, you know, because he claims to be an ex-Satanist and all this jazz, and fucking on live radio, he's like, I was never a member of a Satanist or Luciferian order, and blah, 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 and then fucking he talks 45 minutes worth of shit about me, and then when he archives it, he erases it. And then fucking like 7-8 years later, he fucking puts up a 10-minute clip of part of it where it's all edited and fucking, oh, I wrecked this troll. And it's like, fuck you, Mark. Like, I've tried to ask him over and over, like, hey, dude, like, why'd you fucking say that shit? You know, you're lying one way or the other no matter what. And it's like, you want to talk shit about something when you're just a fucking poser. You don't care. You're just doing it, to be popular, to get money, to fucking, you know, there's all sorts of people. I mean, there's so many people that are just, like that Chris Ann Hall lady. She's a supposed constitutionalist. I tried to talk to her about certain stuff, and, you know, she didn't understand, just like everybody else. And it's, you know, I don't have any formal education besides a pharmacy technician and art school and, you know, high school and stuff. But I watched the Know Your Constitution video by Carl Miller a few dozen times and looked up everything he says. And there's only two things that he fucks up in the video. And he says something about the Declaration of Independence and the right to liberty and pursuit of happiness. I don't know, he fucks that quote up on accident, and then The only other thing he doesn't really fuck up, but there's this court case he names where there's some guy has to pay the furniture store, and the guy convinces the judge to say that he can pay with coffee beans, and basically that court case isn't on the record, even though it has a docket number on the paper, and but the judge was real, and I'm sure they buried it because I've went to child court to fucking get custody of my kid, and fucking they buried part of the video. They wouldn't let me fucking admit evidence, like the affidavit which I signed with the Uniform Commercial Code to reserve my rights in the constitutional law, because that's the only way you can reserve your rights in the constitutional law is when you sign these contracts. I went to the Secretary of State years ago and fucking signed my license with it. They fucking had a fucking fit over it. The fucking dude, he was the manager. I'm like, let me see the manager. Show me the law that says that I can't sign my driver's license with the Uniform Commercial Code to reserve my rights in the constitutional law. And he couldn't show me any law. He fucking took out this folder, and it fucking, had some bullshit printed out. There was no laws on it, no fucking regulations, no, it was just a bunch of words printed on a piece of paper that, it didn't cite any laws or anything. And he's like, you can't do that. Then he threatened to fucking call the state popo on me, the state police, and fucking, I'm like, whatever, dude, I'll fucking sign it regular, but then when I renewed it, I fucking signed it in cursive, without prejudice, because under the law it says if you sign your name without prejudice, then it's sufficient to say you're reserving your rights under Uniform Commercial Code reservation of rights. But anyways, it's just like Carl Miller talks about. You get a traffic ticket, that's a writ of assistance, or a bill of attainder, and that's forbidden by the Constitution. But that's too bad because you don't know that you signed away your rights when you fucking got the license. And they don't tell you that. And what about I can't remember the clause or whatever, but there's a clause about the not impairing contracts. There's so many things that are unconstitutional that, I could go on and on about, and, that other people haven't went on and on about, and I probably should, but not right now. I'm just trying to speak from my mind, from me, and you could base almost everything that's wrong with this country on something that's unconstitutional, and most people won't understand. They demand that, oh, this be fixed or that be fixed. We need a new budget for this, or we need to create this, or blah blah blah. But it's not within the Constitution for them to make any such things like NASA or all sorts of stuff. The goal of the elite is to put the power back in their hands. And, Clinton, he was a Rhodes Scholar, and the Rhodes Scholarship, Cecil Rhodes, and I'm pretty sure it's a quote from Cecil, there's a bunch of quotes from Cecil Rhodes about world British rule and all this other stuff, but the goal of the goal of the Rhodes Scholarship is to promote world British rule. It doesn't get much more simple than that. If you look at the symbol of the United Nations, it's the old symbol of the Caesar's leaf hat thing for Rome. Rome never died. People think it did, but all the royal aristocracies and their secret societies that proliferate the lies and the agendas, and we live in a place where I call the people procedure zombies, because they're bound by their procedure. When I went to child court, I entered the courtroom in a non-procedural manner, which in the law it says there's multiple different ways of entering in the courtroom in a you can either enter specially or generally, or um, and when you enter specially, it's not necessarily that you're entering specially. It's that you're asking for a oh, what is that word? You're asking for a declaratory judgment on the jurisdiction, because if there's no jurisdiction, they don't have a case, and but they won't allow you to do that. You go to child court and fucking you don't have a jury, but yet it's not a criminal matter, but yet the matter in controversy is over $20, and if you don't pay the money that they ask you to pay, then you'll go to jail. That's a criminal punishment for a civil manner. It's bullshit. It's called the debtor's prison, and there's a lot of controversy on the subject, but this country was against debtor's prisons. You can't throw somebody in jail because they owe money. How are they going to pay the money off? Duh. I mean, there's just so many people that they pretend to be whatever, like Ron Paul, he's all about free trade and all this other stuff. Free trade is the fucking battle cry of the communists. Karl Marx wrote all about how free trade is important and blah, blah, blah. But free trade destroyed the middle class. Before the North American Treaty Alliance, all the fucking life was better. I remember when I was a kid, everything was better. And fucking everybody wasn't so broke. And all the jobs went to Mexico and China and I mean, I have a refurbished Apple iPhone, but it's like how many fucking fake hippies are out there with an Apple iPhone that they bought for like $1,000, and they're against the slave enslavement of people, but yet they support the fucking dictator, or like Facebook, I mean, I remember the MySpace days. It was so much better. There wasn't the algorithms. They fuck everybody over. You can't. It's not a free speech society. I mean, yeah, everybody's into a private organization called Facebook, and Facebook can have its own terms and agreements, but when Facebook is the common means of communication, then when you're limiting free speech in such an arena, then it's just bullshit. I mean, it sucks because we shouldn't even play the game, but everybody's playing the game and everybody's pissed off and running the rat race and fucking, and yet we're all stuck spinning in a circle, like, I mean, anybody who tries to do anything, like, I'm building a house and fucking, there's all these stupid codes, and since there's so many other construction people that do shitty work and have, went cheap on the materials and fucked everything up, that there's all these rules and regulations to where I have to jump through hoops to fucking live in a house, and fucking, I'm on a time limit, and, for example, I gotta replace a window because, the window is 1/2 inch away from blah blah blah, and it's like there's a fucking window right next to it. If there was a fire, I can crawl out of that window. Like, or like, I mean, I could just like TSA. You go to the airport and fucking, they're operating under the color of law. Most supposed authorities are operating under the color of law, and that's a felony. Deprivation of rights under the color of law. I believe it's 18 United States Code 26 or something. I might be way off, but there's so many different things about this country where anyone with two brain cells that they can rub together and form a thought will know that this isn't our country. This isn't what the forefathers of America died for. Most people claim to be constitutionalists but are not the posterity of their forefathers because they shit on their forefathers' beliefs. It doesn't matter what the forefathers were. Like Ben Franklin was a member of the Lodge of the Nine Muses in France, or like, a lot of them were Blue Masons, or It doesn't matter because they were against the Royal Empire. They were against the fucking tyranny of the people. They wanted freedom. What we live in today is not freedom. You can't even go sit in your fucking yard without some douchebag looking at you from the neighbor's house or something. Oh, I'm judging them. Oh, they're bad people because they're sitting in their yard and talking with other people. Or you can't even have a party or have friends over without somebody thinking you're doing something bad, and it's total bullshit. It's absolute utter bullshit. And then I'm not even touching on the whole thing about all the fucking brothers locked up in the joint. Fucking they're slaves. They work. They're enslaved in a prison camp, and they work because they're forced to. And fucking they make like 10 cents an hour, and it destroys other businesses that are competing with it. Not only that, but a majority. It's fucking slavery. How do we know that things in the 1800s and 1700s weren't the same with the tyranny about the slavery? And I mean, it's just a fancy way to make it. If you make something complicated enough, the sheeple won't understand it. They'll think that it's okay. Oh, it's happened a million times, so it's okay. You know. Excuse me. But I mean, like, there's just so much going on in this world that, I mean, let's talk about vaccines. People are compulsory vaccinating, and it's creating new diseases, new virus strains. I mean, that's even if the germ theory is accurate, and the opposing germ theory isn't really what's accurate, because the opposing germ theory says that there are no multiple strain viruses, or multiple viruses of strains, that there's really only one virus, and that it mutates depending on its environment. And if that's true, then there's no way you could possibly vaccine against that, But leave that argument alone and just throw in the the preservatives alone. All the preservatives are. I mean, I ate some bad swordfish like a year or two ago, and it had mercury in it, and fucking, it's the only time I ever had a swordfish, and I was deathly ill. I was shaking and laying down, shaking all night, and fucking puking and shitting my brains out, non-stop liquid shit. Like, I felt like I could have died. And fucking, for some little kid to have a vaccine forced on him, and then if they go through that, that's fucked up. All in the name of good. Like Terrence McKenna says, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And yeah, that's true. I mean, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and we're all sitting here, oh, it's for the better of mankind. But, then that goes back to the Constitution. We have the right to medicine, just like we have the right to not have medicine. It's part of a right. We have the right to deny. We have the right to an attorney, and we also have the right to be our own attorney. And fucking, that's a right, And they try. If I would have known about it in child court, I would have pressed charges, because I didn't know that if they deprived me of my right to be my own attorney, that I could press felony charges of deprivation of rights in the color of law. And it's a right to be your own attorney. I think it's like the Sixth Amendment or something. But on top of that, say you have to go to court, you have to pay a fine. How are you? In the state of Michigan, Carl Miller points out that 21.153, there's a law that says bills to the state shall be paid in this, and this, and it names off everything except Federal Reserve notes. It says Federal Reserve bank notes, but under federal law, Federal Reserve bank notes haven't been printed since 1963. So in other words, in Michigan, you can't legally discharge a debt because of 21.153, because there's when a law says includes William Cooper points this out. When it says includes and it lists off stuff that it includes, anything not on the list is not included. Thus, since it doesn't say Federal Reserve notes, that cannot be included in the list of things to discharge debt in the state of Michigan, not to mention that it's against Michigan Constitution and the federal Constitution on the gold silver clauses. And Michigan Constitution, it says that judges must be licensed, just like Carl Miller says. And I tried to call up the Bar Association multiple times, over and over. Once a week I was calling them, asking, can you please quote the law that says that the bar membership is a license? And they couldn't quote the law. I called the Judicial Tenure Commission and tried to make a complaint. They asked what specific court case is your complaint on, and I said all of them, because every judge in Michigan isn't licensed to practice law. And they're like, well, they have a bar membership. And I'm like, and the lady who I was talking to was an attorney. She had a bar membership, and I asked her, ma'am, she was an employee of the Judicial Tenure Commission. I asked her, ma'am, can you please read off where your bar membership says license on it? And she couldn't do it. It didn't say license anywhere on it, I wrote to the Attorney General of Michigan. I wrote to the regular Attorney General. I wrote to the governor. I wrote to everybody could possibly write to. The only one response that I had about anything, because I've written about so many things, about the money, about all sorts of stuff, and the only time they wrote back with anything that wasn't like, whoa, blah blah blah, just some bullshit. The only time they wrote back, they said, they quoted a law for Michigan, and it said, members of the bar consist of licensed attorneys. That's all it said. And I wrote back, well, if I had a bowling team and the bowling team consisted of licensed drivers, does that mean that the bowling team is the license? That the bowling team membership is the license? They didn't respond, that's because they knew that's bullshit. It's fucking total bullshit. There's an old rumor about there's an old rumor about the bar meaning British Accredited Registry, and I can't remember what the acronym for it is that they say it is now, but there's a lot of old people who say that's what it meant. And of course, if you're a member of the bar, you get the what is that called? A title of nobility, which is called Esquire. And the title of nobility is handed out from England, And there used to be there's a missing 13th Amendment which says nobody in any office in the United States shall have a title of nobility from another country. And it goes even farther than that too, because take the Secretary of the Treasury, for example. I point this out to a lot of people. William Cooper said it first. The Secretary of the Treasury is the governor of the fund of the International Monetary Fund of the United Nations. What's that tell you? He gets his paycheck from the International Monetary Fund. William Cooper says they all get their paychecks from there. The IMF it's a total fraud. It's bullshit. This country was started so things like the IMF couldn't rape us with their taxes, their hidden taxes of inflation. The gold silver clause was put there to stop inflation. I can't make it any more clear for you. This country, it was such a pain in the ass for Congress to wage war, so there wasn't a bunch of fucking so it wasn't a monarchy again. And this country hasn't waged war since World War II, and Congress can't partition troops to any location for more than 2 months or something unless they've waged war, and they haven't waged war. And there's all sorts of stuff about how they're all pissed off because they haven't waged war, and there's all these wars, but yet people forget about the declared states of emergency over the whole country. When they have these declared states of emergency, they outlaw the Constitution. Basically, we're under military law. Because of these states of emergency that have never been lifted. The Emergency Banking Act. That's how they got the. That's how they started pushing one of the forms of the unconstitutional currency, and of course, everybody knows about JFK trying to bring it back, and then fucking he gets his head blown off by probably the driver, like how William Cooper says. I mean, I don't think he's a liar. Why would he lie? He everything he says pretty much, besides his religious viewpoints, concur with verifiable information. Besides a couple things, but I mean, it's not the same researching as it was before the internet, and I used to do a lot of research before the internet, just because I'm old, but I'm not that old, like. But I mean, everybody, there was internet back when I was a kid, but everybody's too poor to have it, But William Cooper says that he read, when he had the clearance, that he read that the driver, Alan Greer, shot JFK. And in the old videos, the ones that aren't digitally altered, you can clearly see the emulsion that he talks about, where the film is missing and you can see where the gun would be. And it's right on top of the guy's head, and it goes past where the guy's head is. And the reflection, it couldn't have been a reflection because it goes past his hair. It goes like 2 inches past his head. And not to mention the change in the course, and it's just a huge subject. William Cooper points out that the the moment JFK was shot, the sun was exactly perpendicular to Dealey Plaza, and that it's not at noon, but it's around like 11 or 1 or something, or whenever he was shot. But I mean, if it is some kind of ceremonial magic, then that's pretty fucked up. But it could just be a coincidence. It's a huge subject, and I don't like to talk about things that aren't verifiable, because the issue is freedom, and we can't get past this issue and bring on speculation, because any of the naysayers or the sheep, they'll hear anything that's speculation, and they'll tear you apart about it. Like a lot of the conspiracy theorists bring up gematria, or the number stuff, and it's like, no, you don't bring that up, because anybody who anybody who hasn't done any research whatsoever is gonna instantly call you a fucking tinfoil hat wearer, and it's total bullshit. I mean, like, I've got good friends that I can't even fucking talk to because they're so fucking close-minded. And it's not even about any type of conspiracy theory. I'm just talking about the Constitution. They can't even grasp it. That, gun rights are bad. And it's like, okay, then why does Chicago have such a crime rate and fucking all the handguns are outlawed, Like, we already have gun infringement everywhere, and fucking, it's these kids get a hold of guns and fucking do crazy shit, I mean, the one kid, his dad was a popo, another one, there's so many conspiracies involved with I mean, look at the Columbine thing. I'm pretty sure it was the Columbine thing. There wasn't any IP address traffic for 5 years before the incident, up to the incident. What kind of school doesn't have internet traffic, I can't remember what website it was, but somebody made a documentary on YouTube, which was a great documentary about it. It wasn't full of bullshit or clouded with theory or rhetoric. That was, it was verifiable stuff. There's FBI next to the guy's house for like weeks, and they were doing some kind of stakeout or something, or who knows what, who knows if it's like an extended Project Naomi or, MK Ultra type thing, which I hate using that word because it's used so much. Anybody who says it is going to be looked at as a fool, even though there's redacted documents everywhere all about it. Yes, I just burped because I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna sit here and edit my videos or, you know, be fake or fucking. Oh, I'm gonna do a million clips or I'm gonna write this down and practice it and. Because I don't give a fuck. I'm just trying to fucking get a message out, but it's obviously not working no matter what I say to people. Or I mean, I really haven't put a lot of effort into my YouTube, and you know, I used to call on Freeman's show a lot and talk, and he would. One time he let me talk for like 45 minutes. I mean, he never knew who I was or anything, but he always enjoyed my conversations with him on the occult or whatever subject. And I've called into Bob Tuskin, and he's all like, "Oh, you need to make your own radio show." And it's like, why? There's an ocean of people out there spouting an ocean of bullshit, and you know, it's just gonna be a nobody's gonna be able to sift through all that bullshit and find fucking real facts. If they want the facts, they're gonna have to find it themselves. You know, like they can't just. I mean, there's so much garbage out there where you try to read something about any subject and you're gonna have to sift through the lies and the bullshit. I mean, there's so many TV shows where it's, you know, people in Fantasyland saying all sorts of shit where they don't prove it, and you know, like my friend, he's like, you need to listen to this one dude, and I'm like, okay, tell me one thing that you learned that you understand that you can explain to me that guy taught you. And he tried to explain something, and then he said some words that he didn't know what they meant, and I asked him, what does that mean? You know, and he didn't know, and it's like, well, then you didn't learn anything, you know. And when I listen to William Cooper, I've learned, like I've tried to. I've looked up what he said to look up over and over, countless hours every night till 4 in the morning. Listen to his shit, fucking hanging out, listening to it, looking up what he says, trying to verify it. And sometimes it's hard and it's annoying, and it's, you know, there's sometimes, I mean, but what I'm trying to say is with a lot of people you run into dead end roads, but with William Cooper's research, there's not a lot of dead end roads because what he's saying is accurate. And I mean, I try to upload the best ones about, you know, what I think are the most important ones, because there's so many people uploading them. And I remember when I first started hearing it, I thought, you know, that the Mystery Babylon series was the only broadcast that he had, and then I found out there was like 1,400 hours of other broadcasts, and I was like, damn, you know, this guy fucking put in some work. At one point, you know, William Cooper says it was $1,000 an episode after like 97 when he was on national radio or whatever, and you know, for him to raise $1,000 every fucking episode, that's a lot of money. I mean, he put his heart and soul into that shit. I mean, I can't imagine what he went through to, I mean, it's just fucked up, because I mean, some guy who's just a nobody in the Navy, you know, like, he gets the clearance, he realizes everybody in the top clearance, in the top secret clearance is Freemason, and he says himself that he only checked Freemason because Demolay wasn't on the list, and he was trying to get the clearance, and if he failed any part of the clearance, they wouldn't give him the clearance, and fucking, you know, because it's like a rigorous investigation on somebody who's trying to get top secret clearance, and it's not some kind of joke, and basically he didn't want to fuck up, so he checked Freemason because he was a Demolay, and it's not that he was just a Demolay when he was a kid, it's just some stupid fraternal organization that, you know, is associated with Freemasonry and named after Jacques Demolay, and but anyways, he says everybody else in the who had the clearance was Freemasons, and at one point, you know, he said that he did background checks on every judge in the United States, and he says that every judge was 32nd degree Mason. Now, if people take oaths and they hold those oaths above their oath to the Constitution, isn't that called treason? I mean, is that what's going on here? I mean, you know, none of them will talk out, you know, none of them will speak out about what, I mean, I've read some stuff about them having oaths to the Order of the Garter, which is the royal families of Europe. the royal aristocracies. And if they're taking an oath to the garter, then they don't have a national they don't have they're not looking out for us. They're looking out for the international agenda, you know. I mean, a lot of them aren't even aware of any conspiracy, and who knows how many inner circle groups are actually the cause of the problem. I mean, but it doesn't matter, because if you go to court and the judge is a Mason and the opposing defense or the prosecuting attorney is a Mason or whatever, you're not gonna win because they're a Mason. I seen it in child court. I fired every lawyer. I kept firing them over and over, and I'm like, I don't need a fucking lawyer. I'm representing myself. I don't need I don't need help with fucking, And then there was this one lawyer, and he was a Mason, and I seen his 32nd degree ring, and I was like, I pretended to be a Mason. I was like, you're under oath to help me, and and he did. He walked in the courtroom. He's like, you don't have anything on my client. My client didn't do anything to not be able to see his child. Then he demanded full custody. He gave me sole custody, but then the bitch who's got my kid, the grandma, she knew how to play the system, and she played the system, and she has had my kid for the last 8 years, and the mom was on drugs and fucking. I don't do drugs. I smoke weed. That's not a drug because it's not refined, and it's legal in Michigan now. And I had a medical card before that, anyways. But the point is that this bitch played the system. And she gets money for my kid from the socialist fucking government, and I think it's like $2,000 a month. Then I got another friend. His kid, or his family's fine and stuff, but his brother had problems with their family, and his brother's kids got taken away. He took the kids, and he's been taking care of them for the last year, and he doesn't get any support or help. And it's like, how the fuck does this grandma get $2,000 a month for fucking stealing my kid, kidnapping, and fucking, and then my other friend is watching his two kids because his brother's on drugs, and it's like, he doesn't get any help. He's buying them food and, paying for their lives and teaching them how to read and be good people and shit. And it's just fucked up, I remember it's fucked. The whole, I gave up hope on any system because, when I went to child court, it all ended when they tried to throw a shrink on me. I told the shrink about jurisdiction and all this other stuff, and he had no idea what I was talking about, and he did his assessment anyways. Then when the court date came or whatever, I put my family doctor on the stand, because my last family doctor, they convinced him to commit that he broke the patient doctor privilege or whatever, where he confidentiality, and without a subpoena and without a court order or a signed release form, he released my medical information to the prosecuting attorney, and they tried to say that since I was suicidal when I was 15, I couldn't have a kid. And it's like, I threw him on the stand. I'm like, where's your signed release form? Where's your signed subpoena? And he didn't have it, and fucking, I couldn't put a case against him. There was no lawyer in Michigan would take the case. I'm like, he broke doctor-patient confidentiality. We don't care. Ooh, But anyways, it was like the last day of court. I was trying to get my kid, and fucking, I went to court like a bunch of times. My ex was all hyped up on speed. I don't fucking do drugs. And I fucking told the CPS she was on drugs because she asked my mom to buy her fucking, buy her cough medicine boxes of a certain type that I knew is what those fucking junkies use, to make their drugs, and fucking, anyways, I threw my doctor on the stand. At the time, I was having extreme stress, and fucking my stomach acid was going through the valve or whatever, and like burning my small intestines, and it was incredibly painful, and fucking like I couldn't even keep my leg from shaking because I was in such pain every time I got stressed. Like, I used to like barf up blood from when I was a kid because of such bad ulcers from stress and stuff, and but anyways, I put my family doctor in the stand. I asked her, you know, I asked her, am I in constant pain all the time? You know, she said, yeah, you're in constant pain, and I'm like, okay. And then I asked her like every direction I could ask, you know, about the pain and stuff, and the judge got pissed, and he's like, oh, what's your point? And I was like, Your Honor, my point, does the court understand that I'm in constant pain? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, well, I'm done with the witness. You know, the prosecuting attorney didn't ask anything. I mean, they asked some other stuff, but, you know, it's medical condition. It's embarrassing. Anyways, I'm all healed up now because I'm not all stressed out from a bunch of fucking bigwigs and their fucking bullshit. Even though I haven't seen my kid in forever because of a bunch of fucking kidnappers. But anyways, so they put the shrink on. I'm having a hard time trying to ask him a question, and they took a recess, and finally I got the question out, but it's not on the video. Only the part before the recess is on the video, it's fucked up. Anyways, because I ended up getting the video testimony and stuff, and from the records office or whatever. But so anyways, I corner the shrink and I ask him, is it possible for you to do an accurate assessment if you had no knowledge that the patient was in constant physical pain? And it took me a minute to say it, and excuse me. But anyways, he said no. And the judge had to get pissed at him for him to say no. He's like, answer yes or no. And the guy wouldn't answer. And he finally answered, and he said no. And then the caseworker, this was a long time ago, by the way. The caseworker, it was like the last 10 minutes of like a 20 trial case where I went to Kalamazoo like multiple times. I mean, over and over and over and over, and fucking, So anyways, this bitch caseworker, keep in mind that the previous caseworker was from Egypt, and I got her to, I told her she's a kidnapper, and what they're doing is kidnapping and unconstitutional, unlawful. And she ended up moving back to Egypt because of what I told her, because I told her of what evil she was a part of, and fucking, I passed everything with flying colors. I jumped through all their hoops. They inspected my house. Oh, it's a nice house. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I had a locked room, and they're like, what's in here? And I'm like, I don't know, open it. And they're like, we can't. It's like, well, no shit, it's locked. Like, no kid's gonna get in the furnace room, you know? And anyways, the caseworker went on the stand, and she's like, he didn't call for 93 days to set up an appointment. It was total bullshit. And I'm like ragging on her. Fucking the judge is like, quit badgering the witness, you know? And because at this point I was my own attorney again after the Freemason dude got me full custody, and then I lost it because of a bunch of bullshit. But anyways, so I'm sitting there badgering the fucking caseworker because I called her, and she's full of shit. And the judge is like, you can't sit there and badger. And I'm like, Your Honor, the court will not recognize the testimony of other witnesses as equal to hers. And keep in mind that hearsay is inadmissible in any court except for child court, which is total bullshit. But anyways, so, you know, I put my mom on the stand because I used my mom's phone. I didn't used to use cell phones, and I still don't like using cell phones, but just have one because just to keep in communication with my stepdad on building a house or whatever. But anyways, so but I put my mom on the stand. She said, yeah, he called at least 3 times and left. And I left long messages, too. And I said my name and stuff and case number and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I was basically begging the caseworker, please let me see my kid. Like, fucking crying on the phone, you know, begging her. That fucking heartless bitch fucking sat there. They were laughing at me in the courtroom, you know. The judge had to tell him to shut the fuck up multiple times. And the judge, you know, he wasn't on my side, but he wasn't against me, and it was just fucked up, you know, like, it was so fucked up, you know, when I seen when I seen the beady little eyes of that fucking prosecuting attorney sitting there fucking, oh, blah, 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 saying his fancy shit, fucking, you know, getting his money, because that's what it's all about, getting the money, you know, and fucking, but after they terminated my rights, I went to the judge was like, come here after the case. I went up to him. He's like, get the video records and get the phone records and take it to the state police and then press perjury charges against the caseworker if she really did lie. And so anyways, it took me forever to get the records and stuff, but I eventually did, and it costed money. And I called the state police, told them what I had, and asked if I could press felony charges of perjury against the caseworker. They told me this big long story about, oh, we had a convicted killer who we couldn't even stick perjury on him, and blah, blah, so we're not pressing the charges. And it's bullshit, because if you make a complaint, they have to file the complaint. And I've had multiple times where I had the caseworker break into my garage, the fucking city popo wouldn't fucking file the complaint. They broke into my garage, left a card in the inside door. The outside door wasn't open. You know, I could have won the case if I would have got the caseworkers fucking, you know, for breaking and entering charges. But you know, anyways, it's past the statute of limitations, and I can, you know, I was so intimidated by the state popo where they were like, we're not pressing perjury charges. Fuck you. We don't care if you have fucking video or phone records. And that was my last hope, you know. I've been depressed for years because of it. Because the system is fucked. Because everybody's a fucking worthless piece of shit, you know. And like, I don't get it. It's like, how can they live with themselves? They're kidnappers. You know, my little kid is punished because she can't see me. And I have the right to be a parent. I didn't do anything wrong. They tried to say I smoked weed, and I'm like, drug test me, motherfuckers. And the second they fucking had a drug test, I slapped down my weed card in court. It's a medical card, you know, it's legal. It's a license to fucking smoke weed for a medical illness, you know. And fucking they're like, we're not testing you now. And it's like, what, you wanted to test me? I demand that you test me. You wanted to test me. I'm ready to take the test. They wouldn't test me, you know. I mean, that's just a personal example of how fucked it is, you know. I mean, I could go on and on about other examples. One time I was, you know, when I was 18, I got pulled over 7 days in a row, 7 times, and they didn't pull me over for any reason every time. And I wasn't aware of the laws, but I knew that they had to have a reason to pull you over, you know. And fucking harassment, fucking like, I don't know. The whole system is fucked. Through the child stuff, I ended up arguing with them so much, you know, because I didn't have a job at the time, and like they wanted me to pay money that I didn't have, and I said, you're gonna put me in jail, you know. Fucking, I don't have any money. You want me to pay money? My original argument was that they want me to discharge a debt with unconstitutional currency. I have the right to not partake in unconstitutional commerce. And they wouldn't. They laughed. They thought it was a joke. They wouldn't even let the stenographer write what I was saying. They wouldn't let me. And you know, that was the first trial. And like, jurisdiction arguments can only be done at the first trial in that court. And they wouldn't allow me to have anything on the record. And I was challenging jurisdiction, and they wouldn't acknowledge my existence. And later in the case, they're like, well, you have to challenge jurisdiction at the beginning of the process, you know? And it's like, and I tried to tell them, I'm like, they wouldn't even fucking, I wasn't even on the record. They didn't, you know, they lost the fucking videotape. Lost, in quotations, because they didn't fucking lose that shit. They fucking threw it away because of their fucking lawlessness. Because they fucking, you know, I mean, take the Flint thing, for example. Flint water crisis, that shit, they were getting river water that's full of lead. It's not about the pipes. They were getting water from Lake Erie or whatever, and then they switched it up, and I don't know, I'm just rambling, and I kind of swung off from the Constitution topic, and I guess I'm just going to have an hour-long talk of whatever, and, you know, peace out, thanks for listening, You can subscribe, you can comment. Don't fucking write stupid comments. There's these people that write stupid ass comments, and it's like, bro, don't fucking say threats to people on my fucking shit. And like we gotta peaceably reinstate constitutionality. It's not. We gotta stop the fucking socialist communist civil war, because fucking if we don't, then our whole country is at stake. What's left of it, that is. And people all the time, socialism is not communism. And it's like, yeah, but then why did the father of socialism write the Communist Manifesto? Karl Marx, William Cooper, he states boldly that fucking in Gorbachev's book on page 47, I think, Perestroika, Gorbachev quotes Marx and Lenin, both saying democracy is indispensable to socialism. And then they also were both quoted as saying the absolute goal of socialism is communism. And fucking how do we know that Hitler wasn't pro-Russian agenda, and that the idea of Germany to be socialized was for the ultimate goal of communism, just like Marx and Lenin said, like they want you to believe in their quote narrative, unquote. I hate that word. I hate the politically correct. You need a peer-reviewed article. Yeah, those fucking assholes. And it's like, motherfucker, I've been fucking reading shit before you could even like smoke a cigarette legally. Like there's stuff that exists in this world that isn't on the internet, and fucking. I've seen shit get taken off the internet, and fucking, I don't know. For example, there's this video of Michael Brezhnev. It was an audio clip, and he was on the he was suspect number 2 in the Oklahoma City thing, the Oklahoma City bombing, it happened in 1993, the Federal building, and basically it was like the 93 version of 9/11 in a way, except there was 9 suspects. Michael Brezhnev was suspect number 2, and William Cooper documents all this, and William Cooper says that there's a tape, and I found the tape at one point, but it got taken off the net, and it was a recording of Michael Brezhnev calling the FBI director saying, we don't want to use live shit, and the FBI director was telling him to use live shit. And they were talking about, boom booms. Fucking, they were talking about explosives, and it's fucked up, I mean, there's endless things I could comment about and add to what I'm trying to say, and maybe I'll do this again, maybe I won't. I don't know. Who cares? Fuck it. But I guess I care because I'm sitting here talking to you bastards right now. But I live in Michigan, and there's a lot of opposing groups of people that friends who are just anti-constitution. They want the world government. They want the fucking tyranny. They want mommy and daddy Karl Marx to fucking take care of them, and fucking. And they think that I'm a bad person because I don't want what's good for everybody, and it's like, no, I want what was promised to me in my childhood, a constitutional republic. All these fucking people are like, oh, the snowflakes want they all think that the world owes them something and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, the fucking world does owe me something. They owe me a fucking constitutional republic that I was promised in school. Oh, years and years. This is a constitutional republic. You have rights. Blah, blah, blah. You don't have any fucking rights, and this isn't a republic. And fucking... And that's what I was promised. And all of you were promised the same thing. We were promised constitutionality. And we don't have it with the currency. We don't have it with rights. We don't have it with land ownership. We don't have allodial titles anymore. We don't have fucking We got taxes on everything. They're taxing fucking coupons on us because the obligations are coupons. And the Constitution forbids the states from emitting bills of credit. And guess what? The Federal Reserve notes are bills of credit. They've went as far as to they've created, uh, the DC had the 10 square mile clause, and Ralph Epperson likes to say, "Oh, the 10 square mile clause gives them all the power to act in any case whatsoever." And it's like, no, it's a 10 square mile clause because they're confined within the 10 square miles, you know, and it's like the 10 square mile clause says that they can't fucking leave the 10 square miles unless it's like Navy ports, dockyards, or federal property. But you know the beast is out of the cage, and you know and I may just be some stupid kid, or I'm not a kid, but I'm a grown up. I'm not allowed to be a grown up in this world. I'm not allowed to be a fucking man. Like, my peers are not allowed to be the posterity to the forefathers, because what's right is speaking the truth, and I can't even speak the truth to any grown adults, older people, because they don't understand, like my family, or people anywheres. Nobody gets it. Nobody. Oh, well, it's the law. And it's like, no, it's not the law because it conflicts with the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. It's bullshit. And, you know, we don't need to nullify things. Like, because I got a friend that used to work for Ron Paul. He's an older dude. And, oh, we need to nullify this, nullify that. And it's like, no, there's no nullification needed. Carl Miller quotes the laws of the Supreme Court rulings multiple times, and there's no nullification needed if something's unconstitutional or against the Bill of Rights. And even new amendments they don't need to be nullified if they're conflicting with old amendments. And if the amendments conflict with clauses of the Constitution, they shouldn't exist. Like the 14th Amendment conflicts with the 10 square mile clause, because it says that we're all. Oh, one of the points I was going to make, proof that this is a constitutional republic. DC they had weed. It was legal in DC, but yet federal law says weed is illegal. But yet they have weed legal in DC. That's not a state. It's not a fucking state. It's a fucking district. There's only federal jurisdiction there. There is no state laws there, or state municipality, or there's so many things that prove without a doubt that there is no constitution in place. And yet the sheeple weep for Tammuz, the fucking sun god. They weep for fucking bullshit. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed my little speech here, and I'm just kind of sitting in my living room talking to the cat, I guess, because none of you'll probably ever listen. And I just want to make the ancestors of our people proud. They're looking at us and they're just shaking their heads like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, you guys are fucking, some of them marched through snow with no shoes on, had their fucking toes chipped off. They gave up their fortunes and their property, and they fucking had death warrants signed for their families because they were pro-freedom, against the British Empire, and against the fucking against the beast, the fucking there's so many ways to put it where I could say something 1,000 times to someone and they're just not gonna get it. And that's why I'm not friends with certain people anymore, because I want to be. I wish I could be, because I've known them for years, and we've got dead friends that are long gone, and I don't have anybody to talk to about it, and about friends that used to be alive, but they're just so brainwashed by the media and by what they think is right. And if you, like, I'm a piece of shit because I believe in the Constitution, that's what they think of me, and it's like, fuck you. Like, It's just bullshit. I mean, like, it's fucked up. When I used to live in the hood, all the black people, they knew, we're on that struggle, and we are on that struggle. And fucking, it doesn't matter what color you are, you're on the struggle. And fucking, we're on the struggle to try to stop the economic slavery because it matters to our children and our children's children. And it matters. And a lot of people think that it doesn't, and that they're just one person. They can't do anything. Oh, I'm just one person. What am I supposed to do? That's what happens after I show someone a bunch of evidence to support what I'm saying, and they just give up. It's like keep smoking your cigarettes and drinking your booze and fucking being a fucking brainless sheep. No offense, because I hate the word, because that's the word that Hitler used to fucking dehumanize the Jews. He called them sheeple, or he called them Untermensch, which is German for subhuman, and that's what the word sheeple means. I mean, but I mean, I get so sick of hearing people on all sides spouting they want to put their 2 cents in, and their 2 cents is just an opinion. It's not anything. It's not an irrefutable fact, and it's not verifiable. And I throw facts out, and they're fucking dealing with opinions and rumors, and it's like William Cooper. He says, the rumor mill is alive, and it's fucking spouting out bullshit at a nonstop rate. The rumor mill is like half the shit people say is a rumor. They believe bullshit, and like it's our job as adults to set it straight, to be about truth, to have honor. Like Terrence McKenna says, in the Amazon jungle, the people they can't own many material things because it'll rust or mold or turn to junk from fucking all the humidity in the Amazon jungle. And so their honor was the most important thing to them. Their word, to keep their word, to keep their honor. That was who they were, and that was the most sacred thing to them, because without honor, they had nothing. And that's what's going on in society. There's no honor. There's no fucking truth, honesty. There's no people with backbones to stand up for what they believe in, or to stand up for what's right. And every day some black kid gets shot in the street because he looks like a thug, and fucking, and people justify it. And they justify, it's okay because he did this, or, and it's like, man, that motherfucker was stealing a Swisher. Does that give the person the right to be the judge, jury, and executioner? Or I just hate how people justify things. They rationalize bullshit. That's what's going on a non-stop level. Just rationalizing bullshit. I mean, there is just so much bullshit that's being spread around where, and then people won't see the third side. The third side of the two opposing thesis synthesis, or the thesis antithesis equaling the synthesis. That's ordo ab chaos, or order fathers chaos, but the whole thesis antithesis synthesis, that's an old principle, and that's how they get what they want. It's like a kid. It's like some kid destroying their shoes so they get new shoes, or like it's like planned incompetence, where Dennis Cuddy talks about that. And I don't think he's written an article in a while, but he had a planned incompetence article about how they're pretending to be idiots so they can do stupid shit and pass unconstitutional shit and do whatever they want. Like I knew about. I wasn't a stupid kid when I was young. I remember 9/11, and when it happened, I was 18, and me and my friend, we were doing community service in Battle Creek, Cereal City, and we were on the road commission mowing lawns and fucking. We didn't have to mow lawns that day because because of what happened, and we were listening to the radio, and it was fucked up because I mean I wish I knew about William Cooper at the time, and but I didn't learn about William Cooper until like 2006 or 2008 or something. I don't know, but I mean I knew that something was fucked up. I knew that it was wrong, that it was unconstitutional. I knew that we were all being fucked. I couldn't explain it. And now I can. And it doesn't matter to anyone because I try to explain it and they don't give a fuck. They just want to live their lives, and it's like how your kid's going to live their lives when they're fucking stuck in economic servitude to the fucking United Nations socialist communist war machine. Like, cuz that's what the money goes to, is the war machine. you know it goes to the there's nothing else that matters more than stopping all of this. And I'm not saying to do something illegal. I'm saying we gotta spread knowledge. We gotta create an idea that goes viral, and that idea should be the reinstatement of constitutionality. Because I mean, I don't know what else to do besides to talk about it, and there's nothing else I can do besides talk about it. And I'm hoping that somebody gives two shits. And I don't mean to talk like a sailor, but I mean, that's how my dad talks, and I used to do a lot of construction work with him. And I mean, he understands that we're all being fucked. But I mean, in his old age, I mean, he's like, he listens a lot more than he used to. And it's just fucked, because I don't want to see life go by and say that I didn't do anything. It's just everybody's like sitting there living a life of regret. You text somebody to hang out, they don't want to hang out. They don't even fucking answer the text. They won't reply. Like, the people are fucking. It's fucked up. In the old days, you could just go to your friend's house and knock on the door and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And then go inside and party and hang out. And these days, you can't even. There are no parties anymore. There's just a bunch of stupid festivals and, expensive rock concerts, and there's no communication or it's just fucked. I mean, I don't get, I go out with the younger chick, and I guess she doesn't really get how the old days were, but it was so much different. It was so much different. Just everybody having cell phones. It's so fucked up. Everybody's like I had people over hanging out. We were drinking coffee and hanging out, and fucking, they're just on their phones the whole time. And it's like, yo, people, can we have an organic conversation here? And everybody always gets mad because I'm listening to conspiracy shit or something, and oh. And it's just, or else I put on an old boring movie, and it's just to spark conversation. It's not for anything else. But I guess I'm gonna conclude this because I'm getting a little bit emo on you guys, and I don't know who the fuck's listening, and I'm not trying to get made fun of, and probably nobody's even gonna listen this far, so it doesn't even matter. But anyways, thank you for being one of my 2,000 subscribers, or whoever the fuck is listening. Sorry about the swearing. It's who I am, I swear. But keep listening, and do something that's you, that changes the world, that's good. It doesn't matter if it's origami or whatever, some stupid hobby. Just study something. I don't give a fuck what you study. Just study something, as long as you're doing something, to change everything, or to help the greater good in a non-bullshit way, like Tesla or something. I don't know. And I'm not talking about the stupid Tesla cars, because those are fucking garbage. There's only one Tesla patent on the car, and that's the fucking electric motor. Unless they have a Tesla original speedometer, because he invented the patent for that as well. But anyways, I guess I'm gonna wrap it up because my girlfriend's getting out of work and I can't ramble on anymore. So, all right, peace.